guys, I'm yousrasofyan and welcome to pwaacademics. So in the previous episodes of pwaacademics, I touched on the different subjects of the World Scholars Cup curriculum, but today I decided to do something a bit different and I wanted to talk about the basics of debate. This is the video you need to watch just learn how to debate. Now first I was going to explain everything from the basics of the basic, but I didn't want this video to be 30 minutes long, so down below I'll have a document with all the basics you need to know, and there will also be other videos linked in that document that really explains the basics. This video is tips I would give for beginners. This video is for people who have done like one debate but still need to figure out how to debate. And so now I want to talk about something that I think is really essential and I haven't really seen in other like how to debate videos, which is taking notes. The way you take notes can really affect the way you communicate your speech. So this is the way I personally take notes, and obviously the more you debate, the more you figure out what format is best for you. Just for some context, I'm a third speaker and I think this format really helps me structure my rebuttals and my points easily, but if you're a first or second speaker, this kind of format might not work as well for you. I have my page. At the top I write the debate number, if I'm affirmative or negative, or from speaker 1, 2, or 3. I'm always speaker 3, but like whatever. And then I write down the motion. After that I write MP1 or main point 1, MP2, and MP3. MP1 is the main point of the first speaker, MP2 is the main point of the second speaker, and I refer to this one signposting, and I find that having it in the beginning helps me refer to it easily. And then after that, below those I write my notes and bullet points. When I write my bullet points, they are long sentences rather than statements, but I think that writing bullet points rather than writing a full-on speech kind of helps me structure it better, and I can actually like know which part of my notes I'm reading. So I think if you're a beginner, you should start off with bullet points. I've always done bullet points. A lot of people do prefer writing a full-on speech. With bullet points you can improvise more and there can be more eye contact with the adjudicator on the opposition, whereas if you write down a full speech you're more likely to want to read it. The first section takes up about 2 pages, usually 1. Sometimes if I'm a third speaker negative, I don't even write main point because you really want to hone in on the rebuttals, and also you don't really have time for a main point if you are a third speaker negative. In my experience though, when you're first debating and you haven't really gotten the hang of making rebuttals and like really honing in on that skill, then having a main point is always good. If you're a beginner, you should just always have both. But if you are a third speaker, then I recommend really honing in on those rebuttals. So then I flip my page. 2/3 of the page is for rebuttals and 1/3 of the page is for feedback. So I find that having a specific section for feedback really helps during your 90 seconds of feedback, because feedback is assessed. If you did not know, it's just nice to have that layout. So when you write down your rebuttals, this is what I do. I always write 1 and then I bracket, and then I write a quote from their speech. When you're a third speaker, you really want to pay attention and like jot down whatever you could possibly rebut. Quote the statement from the opposition you want to rebut, and your quote doesn't necessarily have to be like word for word, but it has to get like be specific as possible, because what I used to do, I would just write the rebuttal but I forgot what statement I was rebutting. So basically I write the quote and then after that I put a hyphen and then write my rebuttal after that quote. After that I go to new line and write a new quote for every new rebuttal, and then for each speaker that has their own section, so first speaker, second speaker, third speaker. Hopefully editing can help me make this all clear. My rebuttals pages are usually 2 pages long, whereas the feedback page, I will only section off that first page for feedback, and then after I fill up the first page with rebuttals, then on the next page I just won't add that line for feedback, because I used to do that but I never really wrote that much feedback anyways. The reason why it's important to use quotes and to write the speaker number is so when you are doing your rebuttals you can say, oh, the third speaker said this, well we think this can really have a strong rebuttal. So next I would like to talk about something that's really important, which is rhetoric. Rhetoric is something very important for persuasive speeches. Rhetoric is basically a persuasive language, and there are 3 types of rhetoric. There's ethos, logos, and pathos. So ethos is about credibility, and you need to make sure your speech is credible. You need to make sure that the evidence you have is right. To make your speech more credible, make sure you cite your sources, and if let's say your source is like some random person, you have to talk about why this person is a credible person. So an example would be, According to John Jones, a professor of biology at Harvard University, that it sounds more credible than according to John Jones. You can have good evidence and not have any citations, and then the opposition could be like, well, they didn't cite any of their sources, so we don't even know if what they said is correct or if they made that up. Once I get the motion, I think about, is this gonna be a logos debate or a pathos debate? At first I would like actively think it, but now it's more subconscious. But I think like having that knowledge can really shape your speech. So logos is basically appealing to the adjudicator's sense of logic. So depending on the motion, if it's very factual and you need a lot of factual evidence, it's gonna be logos debate. So a way to appeal to logos is using statistics, case studies, and just using a lot of facts. In a logos debate, you're gonna have a lot of facts and you need to make sure you cite all of them so your ethos is good. And then the next rhetoric style is pathos. So pathos appeals to the sense of emotion. When the emotion isn't very factual and is even controversial, I like to think of it in like a pathos way. So a way to appeal to a sense of pathos usually is using a lot of emotive language and also using anecdotes. I feel that using personal anecdotes or even like stories of other people can really help appeal to the emotion of the adjudicator. And when you use like these anecdotes, it really resonates with the adjudicator. And remember, you are always trying to convince the adjudicator, not the opposition. Now, as I stated before, I think of a debate as either pathos or logos, but sometimes debates can have a mix of them. Sometimes it'll be a very pathos debate, but I'll have some statistics in it, or I'll have a debate with statistics and then take that statistic and put an emotive twist on it. So an example would be the statistic 8 million children are suffering from poverty. That statistic alone is kind of emotive because it's such a big number and it's children and all that, but also like the way you say it really has an effect on the way that the adjudicator perceives it. So I'll take that statistic, 8 million children are suffering from poverty. This isn't real. I'm sorry, my ethos is low right now. So if I were to like mix these to be pathos and logos, I'd say 8 million children are suffering from poverty. Children just like you and me that don't know anything other than what they can do to survive. These children are suffering. You know, something like that. I could do better if that was off the top of my head. Having the mix of both, the evidence can really make you seem more credible. The emotive language can kind of just really show the adjudicator that you are passionate about what you are debating about. If you debate without any passion, it seems like you don't care. The adjudicator is more likely to choose someone that cares than someone who doesn't care. So now I want to move on to debate style. When you are a beginner at debating, your debate style doesn't really matter. It took me 2 years to figure out my debate style, and I still have multiple debate styles, which I'll elaborate more on later. But when you're first learning to debate, just get down the technique, make sure you know how to structure a speech and all that. And after that, you can figure out your debate styles. So for me, I don't like consciously think about how am I going to approach this debate. I'm up in front of the room and then just flows out however it flows out. So these are the 2 debate styles I tend to use, and I feel like these are 2 very common debate styles in World Scholars Cup. There are obviously like many other debate styles. These are just the ones I have noticed. So the first one is yelling and emotional. If you've ever watched the old debate showcases, for example like the 2015 like Beijing showcase, this is full of that. The debaters that yell and they're very emotional, this is a style I tend to use for pathos debate. In this style there's a lot of drastic intonation, and obviously if you're going to try and use this debate style, don't yell so loud that you damage other people's hearings. I know that there are some debaters who really rely on the volume of their voice to get their point across, but it's also the intonation. Sometimes I'll even do like very exaggerated like hand gestures, or like, so like let's say this is my debate notebook, I'll like have a speech and I'll be like, I'll like hit it for emphasis. If you're going to use this, do it purposely. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it. You have to use it for emphasis. The more you debate, the more you're in tune with what to do, what hand gestures fit. When you're first beginning, that's not really what you're thinking of. It'll probably take you around a year debating to really figure out your debate. Also, in this debate style, I love intimidating the opposition. Obviously, don't try and like stare at the opposition for the entire time. But for me, when I'm doing rebuttals, I like to like look at the opposition and be like, your point is wrong. I'm right. Obviously, don't say that as a rebuttal. Even if you do make eye contact at the opposition during like your rebuttals and stuff, always make sure you still have that eye contact with the adjudicator, because they're the person you're trying to convince. The second debate style I tend to see and use is logical and calm. This style I tend to use more for logos debate. So in this style, it's very calm and there is still some intonation, and it's kind of just like the way I'm speaking now. This is like how I would approach a logical and calm debate. There's more eye contact towards the adjudicator, and like the hand gestures aren't like exaggerated and they don't like hit my notebook. But I feel like this style is very like, if you're trying to get your point across, this style is better for beginners. I feel like when I first started off with debating, this style didn't really score well. Now like a lot of the debate showcase speakers use this style. So these are the two debate styles, but sometimes I'll like even mix them together. I don't consciously think about how I'm going to say things when I debate. I kind of just like go up and do it. Before my debate, it'll be very factual and I'll be like really calm, and then all of a sudden I'll get really loud and intonate a lot and really emphasize my point. And sometimes I'll just go into debate thinking I'm gonna be really yelling and emotional, and I'm like yelling and all of a sudden my voice gets quiet and it's like this, and I just like stare at the adjudicator and use my like calm voice. And I think like even having a mix of these can be very effective. Don't really worry about your debate style until you really figure out the basics of debate. That's it for this video. This is just like my tips for beginners. A lot of people want more. I'm planning to do a second video about like how to really elevate your debate, but this is just like tips I would give to people who are first starting out to debate. As I mentioned before, if you want to know like the basics of debate, I'm going to link my document in the description. Be sure to check that out, and like, comment and subscribe for more videos. I hope you guys don't mind I'm not doing subject videos right now. I just don't feel like I'm qualified because I flunked my challenge at Global Round, so I don't feel very confident in making a video about something I'm not actually good at. I hope this video helped you, and good luck in your debating venture. Bye!
Roll the credits.